everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, June 14th, 2026. I don't get it. How can Jack and Diane be in Fairmont Crest one day, stuck in the wreckage of a tornado, acting happy as a newlywed couple, and then in the previews for next week, Jack's back in Genoa City by himself, accusing Patty of kidnapping Diane like he hasn't seen her in weeks. And then Diane is wandering around some kind of mystery location, looking disoriented, kind of looking like she's either been kidnapped or gone crazy. I don't know which it is. Something's off with the timing there. Several of our Y&R characters went beyond the gates this week. I don't know how the continuity could be right for everybody else, but then completely off for Jack and Diane, because Victor Newman took the Newman Enterprises helicopter. If you haven't seen the Newman Enterprises helicopter, go to yrchat.com because I got a ton of screen caps of it. It was somehow very thrilling to see Victor walk off his helicopter. All an illusion, of course. But I enjoyed it. But he went to Fairmont Crest, I think, on Tuesday and Wednesday, and he gave a speech at the event. He was like the keynote speaker. But then he got the heck out of there just moments before a big tornado destroyed the whole place. That is so Victor Newman. Lucky him, he was able to get out on time. Abby was almost not lucky because a chandelier nearly fell right on top of her head. I had no doubt that she would be fine because, you know, in the back of my mind, the whole time I'm going, no, a Y&R character doesn't get to go to another soap to get killed. If they're gonna get killed, they gotta get killed at least on our show. But all the drama was there. Devon was worried, of course. Kyle, not so much. Kyle was having a great time because Kyle got stuck in a closet making out with a married woman. Oh, that is the level of drama we are working with here, folks. But it was fine because her husband was having elevator sex with someone else, so it was fair. All is fair in love and tornado times. But the mystery remains because Jack and Diane are the most puzzling piece of it all, because I watched them this week on Beyond the Gates being completely happy together. I mean, on Y&R, they've been estranged, not even living together. She moved out for months ago, honestly. They've not been on the same page forever, and yet they were at this fundraiser on another show, happy as two little clams, not even a hint of animosity between them, none. So that makes me wonder, is Jack confronting Patty with this air of what did you do to Diane, like part of a larger plan of his, maybe to trap Patty, maybe to trap Victor, or is it all just bad show timing? Genoa City knows how to party too, but no tornadoes. Just Jungle birds and juicy drama. That's what we had back in Genoa City. Juicy Genoa jungle bird drama. Wow. Okay, so my favorite part about the Shadow Room soft opening was Danny, but I also really enjoyed Sienna. I thought she seemed so relaxed and so believable behind the bar. She was just totally in control, in her element, and I kind of hope that we get to keep seeing her like that. She was fun, and she pulled it off. And I love that she is super suspicious of Audra, because I need her to be super suspicious of Audra, because I need this secret to come out. And Sienna is the perfect person for it, because she has 2 reasons to be super suspicious of Audra. Number 1, Sienna is kind of friends with Holden. She always suspected that something went down between them at the original Shadow Room in LA, and she's right. But number 2, Audra has been drooling all over her man. Even Sally had to have a sit-down talk with her girl this week and say, you know, Audra, maybe stop that. Good advice. Audra is going to need to be real careful around Sienna, or that jungle bird's going to turn into an orange jumpsuit. Noah was also very at home in his club. He came off to me as very cool and very confident, and he was looking very handsome, maybe even a little bit more mature, which is ironic because Sharon's speech was so cringe. Your son just opened a hip nightclub. He does not want his mommy making a toast in front of everyone, calling him my son and literally my boy. We are so proud of you. Like it was a high school graduation. No, he is a man in this rock and roll environment. I'm sorry, but I thought that was so uncool of her. But I also understand that Sharon is very concerned about her kids right now, as is Phyllis. And I love seeing Sharon and Phyllis bonding. I really do. But I wish it would start to be about something other than Martin Laurent and their shared trauma. I am all for Sharon and Phyllis, but they need a new story. They need new reasons to support each other, and maybe bonding over their kids is a good start, because Sharon revealed this week that she may be getting her daughter back. Mariah has a meeting with her care team next week about being released. But Phyllis, on the other hand, is still begging Summer to forgive her. I would almost think that Phyllis might want Summer to kind of stay away from Genoa City, might want her to lay low, especially now that Patty is back. But now that I think about it, dang, I wish they would just go ahead and recast Summer, because wouldn't it be fun to actually see Summer confront Patty herself. Like maybe, I don't know, show up and offer Patty a peanut butter sandwich. It was a rock and roll kind of week on Y&R. Danny showed up at the club opening and announced that he is retiring from touring. Daniel was very skeptical, but I'm hopeful because I'm hoping that maybe this means that Danny will be able to stick around long term. I thought it's been interesting that twice now Patty's crush on Danny has been mentioned. So maybe there will be some kind of story where Patty puts Danny in peril or Christine in peril, something. It would be really nice to have an actual story for Danny and Chris if they're willing. My only complaint about the club scenes were that Y&R should have had Danny sitting in the booth next to his photo that's on the wall. Like, I was waiting for Danny to react to the fact that his photo is on the wall of this new club establishment. I needed to see Danny reacting to his mullet shot. And I didn't get it. That was a big missing hole for me. But, I mean, there were other holes that were not missing. I did love seeing him jump in behind the bar to assist Sienna. And she was starstruck. I think maybe that's one of the things that warmed me up to her this week. I'm like, yes, Sienna. It's Danny Romalotti. Be starstruck. This is the Danny Romalotti stepping behind the bar like, okay, everybody, okay. I got the rock stars here. I got this. Like he was a doctor stepping in to give CPR to a club that needed a lifeline of booze. Speaking of doctors, is Nate about to become one again? I think so. I am surprised. So surprised that this is being brought up now. But Nate has got Stephanie talking in his ear, flirting in his ear too, but definitely getting inside of his head, reminiscing about the good old days of practicing medicine and of when he was the Ask MD Now spokesperson. Wow, that was a blast from the past, along with all the other blasts from the past that we got this week too, because there were definitely some bad times when he was practicing medicine, like the time that Devon punched Nate while he was standing right next to a table, and the force of the punch sent him into a row of glass at the Grand Phoenix Hotel. He cuts his hand, ruins his career as a surgeon. So I'm sorry, that was definitely one of the most ridiculous but also enjoyable Nate storylines. Like, you can't perform surgery with one hand, you guys. He needed two hands, and Devon took that from him. I am pretty sure, now I am just pulling this from memory. This is not a retro recap. But I am pretty sure that Devon punched him because he had slept with Elena in that little clinic one dark and sexy night, somewhere around COVID, I want to say. I think Elena and Devon were together, and Elena and Nate slept together, like out of the blue, you know, like everything's all heightened, and just one night right there on the exam table, they did it. And I think Devon found out about it, and that's why he punched him. But that was maybe 5 years ago. Surely there have been some medical advancements in the field of hand repair. I am all for dramatic surgery and reveal of Nate's new hand and a return to a medical career for him. Maybe we get a new clinic set along with it, where he seals the deal with Stephanie this time. Or maybe Audra again. The Grand Phoenix Hotel. That was a grand time to be Phyllis, except I feel like she was always struggling to keep it, or there was always some struggle. She had to take on partners at one point, I'm pretty sure, but I kind of miss that version of Phyllis. I miss Phyllis being in control of her own thing. Big surprise. This week, Victor stopped by his office and told Phyllis that he would like to offer her a company. Instead of rubbing it in that he had won, he actually wanted to offer her something. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, Arabesque. You know, like an old house that you gotta, you know, fix up. It's the plumbing's kind of, but you know, if you're motivated, it's for someone who's motivated to get in there and fix it up. I mean, I loved the gesture. I loved the sentiment. The fact that Victor felt like he wanted to do something to express his gratitude to Phyllis for saving Nick's life, that part was amazing. But, Arabesque, give me a break. I mean, I feel like this might be the part where we start to see the effects of Josh Griffith taking over his full-time head writer role, because this is what he does. He creates these phantom companies that do nothing, make nothing, sell nothing, and then all of the stories revolve around this intangible thing that I don't feel connected to. I mean, hooray for Phyllis for not walking away empty-handed. I'm very happy about that. But I feel like the way better thing would have been for Lauren to offer her a job at Fenmore's department store. Like, why are we wasting time with Arabesque? What does Arabesque even do besides sound like soup? Nothing. Why doesn't Y&R just set up a little boutique, have it sell, you know, Fenmore's boutique? They've done it before, sell clothing, jewelry, hats, makeup, Jabot cosmetics. I mean, there's so much there that could be done visually. It would be beautiful, and it would make so much sense because these people wear a different outfit every single day. They never wear the same thing twice. So the conceit of the show would fully support this, that the characters could be in there every day shopping. But instead, we're gonna get Lauren and Phyllis tapping away at their tablets at Crimson Lights, telling us about their fabulous new company that exists only in the ether. best scene of the week, hands down, goes to Nick. Nick goes to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting with Nikki at his side by his request. And it was so great. But it was not great because, wow, a meeting in the basement of the athletic club. How exciting, right next to the coat closet. Gee, don't those donuts look tasty? No, it was great because everything Nick said was so true. There is this sense of, well, something like drug addiction could never happen to me because I'm me. I'm rich and I have a great life. Why would I ever need drugs? So there was this sense of, well, wait a minute, anyone is susceptible. Even if you are Nick Newman, even if it looks from the outside like your life is perfect. And so it really felt that he was humbled to be there among other people who really weren't so different from him after all. Because, you know, when you get right down to it, I think Nick had this impression, and he said this, like, I'm not like you guys. But then he realized, yeah, I am. And the other thing that was just so true was this. He said, I am the rescuer. I am not the one who is supposed to need rescuing. I mean, honestly, if I had to describe Nicholas Newman, rescuer complex, hero complex would be one of the top phrases that would come to my mind. That was true of his character 20 years ago, and it's true of his character today. And this drug addiction story, or his drug addiction, flies in the face of that. It flies in the face of everything that he thought he was, on top of the fact that he's dealing with the way that he was rescued, that it was his enemy that was the one who did it. So I was so glad that he asked Nikki to be there, because that's not easy either. To be willing to be that honest and that vulnerable, and to do it, you know, around someone who by nature you want to make proud, a parent, your parents, to let your mother witness you in your least proud moment. I mean, that's huge. That is humbling. That's love. I am very worried about Nikki and these headaches, but at the same time, I am not worried at all, because I happen to know that it is all just a bridge back to the Victor and Nikki love story. Can there be any doubt? And so our poll question for this week, you guys, are you rooting for this reunion? YRChat.com. Let me know. Are you ready for Nikki and Victor to reunite, or would you rather just see them call it quits? Wherever you stand, I think it is inevitable that Nikki and Victor will be reuniting after all of this. Nikki will continue to suffer with these headaches, and Victor will continue to try to be there for her, and little by little they will be drawn back together the way they always are for the past 40 years. In fact, if these headaches are MS related, it is worth noting that Victor and Nikki's last wedding in 2013 came about right after she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and that's when he proposed. He proposed out of the wreckage of that revelation. And I know this because this week's retro recap is the Victor and Nikki story. Now, this one was so challenging to put together because where do you start? Where do you start to condense 40 years of history into a 20-minute video? But I did it. I managed to recreate the magic. Oh my gosh, you guys. The original love story, the weddings, the breakups, the reunions, all of them. And I think this retro recap is one of my best because it's all framed around the question, why do Nikki and Victor keep returning to each other? I think that's a really interesting question to ask the fans this week too, because is it a true love story or is it a toxic relationship? If you have an opinion on that, you can go to yrchat.com, relive that Victor and Nikki story, or just, so you can search it out on YouTube too, because Victor and Nikki are easily the most enduring couple on daytime. That's it, hands down. They're together or apart, but they're still Victor and Nikki. Like, the one thing that you can set your watch by is the fact that they will eventually always find their way back together, and this time will be no different. It was so refreshing to see a smile on Malcolm's face this week, because when he came back last time, he came back so somber with all the dying that he was doing. It was just a real bummer for me. And I'm like, well, where's my cool, smooth Malcolm? But then there he was this week. Shamar, I just call him Shamar. Shamar is so comfortable on screen. That's what strikes me about him. And he has always been that way. He just brings this very believable man of the streets kind of vibe that nobody else on the show has. Even now. I mean, that really was his appeal when he first came to Y&R. He had that chill vibe, and I really feel like that is still his appeal today. I was happy to see him connecting with Holden. I was happy to see him forgiving Stephanie and even spending some time at the Shadow Room. Malcolm just can make any room instantly feel 110% more hip and cool just by walking in. Oh, but I don't want to forget to mention this. Did you see how Claire was trying to get information out of Holden about his secret? It was so obvious. She is so obvious. Holden promised her that secret if she would go to New York with him. And she went to New York with him. So that means she delivered on her end of the bargain. And now you better believe that she is going to make sure that he delivers on his. Yeah, Kane and Lily are on fire. They were so hot at that club opening, and Lily seems so energized just from being around him, just from allowing herself to open up to him, that she's willing to go toe-to-toe with Victoria now. Did you see the way that Lily looked at Victoria? Like, Lily owns Chancellor now. Victoria thinks that Nikki should have it, and Lily doesn't give a crap what Victoria thinks. She is ready to even do a press release to rub it in. Yes. Yes. Y&R is definitely resetting the board here in more ways than one. I can feel it in more than one place on the show. Kane has agreed to run Chancellor Industries on Lily's behalf, and Lily felt the need to break the news to Billy personally. And although Billy had a very Billy reaction, I will say that he had a Billy reaction, but his bigger reaction of the week, interestingly, was when Adam tried to find some common ground with him. Billy will never not want Chancellor, and Billy will never not think of Delia when he looks at Adam. And those are the facts. I had done a retro recap on Delia's death a couple of months ago, and it's just such a hard situation to relive because there's culpability all around, but all Billy can see is the man who killed his daughter, because yes, Adam was driving the car that killed Delia. But as for whether or not Adam was responsible, well, that is very highly debated among the fans. I do kind of worry that the fact that that was brought up, paired with the Matt Clark situation and him thinking about Vegas, I'm just kind of worried that all of that is going to be a trigger for Adam, because he said he's been circling some dark instincts. And like I said, Y&R is definitely resetting the board. They do it like once a year. You can just feel that the stories are now shifted. So I wonder if we're going to see Adam acting out. And I wonder if any of that will lead Adam back to Sally. Because Adam and Billy have more than one thing to argue about. It's not just Delia. They have fought for years over Sally too. Matt fangirling on Kane was so awkward. It was OTT. Wow, are you the Aristotle Dumas? What a smart businessman you are. Will you autograph my lunchbox? Wow. There is no way that Kane didn't see straight through that. And yet, when Matt suggested that maybe they meet up sometime, hang out, Kane was like, maybe. He casually said, maybe. I mean, I'm not going to turn down a fan. It's so obvious. Victoria and Adam set up a let's try to coexist meeting with Kane. And right there, Kane's sirens should have been going off. But then there's this lunatic family friend who is going on and on about how great Kane is. As great as Victor Newman. Matt's character is just such a stark contrast to everyone else on the show. He sticks out like a sore thumb. I could definitely see why or how it could be polarizing among the fans, because I think some fans are really responding to it, but others aren't, and they're both valid. It just, to me, the look on Victoria and Adam's face alone right after Kane left was totally worth it. They looked at Matt like, are you a 13-year-old girl right now? And that's what I was thinking. But I think that's what I like about him. He challenges the characters that we've known for so long, just kind of giving them new material to work around. He's like the weird new fish in the fishbowl. I just hope none of the other fish come along and kill him. Business is a power rush. Do you know who said that this week? Business is a power rush. Well, if you do and you want to prove it, go to yrchat.com. You'll see the quote listed there. Click on it and the answer shall be revealed. Tony says, Allie, you can't use this because it's too obvious, but one of the best Y&R quotes is said by Shamar Moore as Malcolm. He said, I am better than fine. Oh, indeed. Woo! Better than fine. No doubt about it. So good. Connie says, another one of my granny's old Southern sayings applies here. She would say that he melts your butter. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely Malcolm melts my butter. And that saying is absolutely apt. Absolutely apt, Connie. I see a lot of people's butter is melting for Kane this week. Sue W says, Cutie Pie Billy Flynn has firmly established himself as a very appealing Kane. And I'm cheering on his charming determination to win Lily back. His steadfast belief in them has finally started to soften Lily up. She's been too righteous, annoying, and, to quote a chauvinist, shrill at times for far too long. Time to take a breath, relax, and be happy. Yes, I think the Y&R fans are falling for Lily and Kane all over again. It's the Lane train, kind of literally, all over again. And I'm not trying to spoil any upcoming retro recaps, but maybe this will. I don't know. I've been doing a little research around that this week, and Billy Flynn appeared as Kane almost exactly 1 year ago. It was June 2025 that he took over the role. So it's taken us a year to get here. He first revealed himself to Lily, and it was clear we were headed to this reunion, and it's been almost exactly 1 year, and the train is finally arriving in the station. Oh, also, it was interesting that Malcolm was all, thanks for the bone marrow. And if Lily wants you to run that company, good for her, good for you and everything, but that don't let you think that means I'm going to give you my blessing on a relationship, as if they need it. Sue W. also says, sorry not sorry to be lukewarm on the Stephanie and Nate buzz. I am just not feeling it. She seems like his mom. Yeah, especially since she knows his mom. I could see that. I think I'm just hungry for Nate to do something. He also melts my butter. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people say they're not really enthusiastic about Stephanie and Nate. I don't know. I mean, it's all just speculation. Anytime any two people get in the scene together, all the fans automatically go, oh, this is the new relationship. It may or may not ever end up being the case. Russell says, I'm glad that Victoria brought up what happened with Newman Media when she talked to Sally. I was wondering if anyone else was thinking that about that division. Surprisingly, Victoria was very kind to Sally in spite of her having Newman Media. Yes, Russell, so you were right about that last week. So Billy got control of I'm gonna get this wrong, got control of Newman Media and then spliced off a piece of it for Abbott Communications, and then the whole thing got renamed Spectra Charles. It's so hard to keep track of these media companies, but the point is, when Newman Enterprises shuffled over, Newman Media went to Abbott Communications. And so, you know, making it full circle, Victor was coming after Chancellor. He was coming after Newman Enterprises back, but there's been very little mention until now about what used to be Newman Media. So it does leave open a crack of the door. Like, you know, is Victoria or Adam or Victor gonna go after Newman Media trying to get it back? Go after Sally and Audra trying to get it back? Michelle says, Victoria is so stylish and put together in that green outfit and matching purse. For me, I get all confused when I switch purses. I don't know how she does it every day. Michelle, you switch purses? I have one purse. I can't be switching purses. Yeah, one. But Victoria does look good in green, so I'm glad you mentioned that. She looked really pretty in that outfit. And as Russell mentioned, it was nice to see Victoria and Sally getting along together, because Sally was in that black and white stripe too. It was like a very visually beautiful scene, and the girls were on their best behavior. Also, I thought Victoria looked nice at the club opening. It was very different for her. She definitely had 80s rock babe vibes. Very not Victoria. And also, I feel like her hair issues have completely disappeared. The hair is back to looking not only normal, but spectacular. I think Victoria is looking great right now. Brent says, anyone else surprised that Victoria was guzzling a pint of beer rather than some frou-frou umbrella drink? Made me love her more. Yeah, I know, right? It kind of seems like she probably would have been a different kind of drink girl. Like, I wouldn't have expected Victoria to be a beer girl, but she was married to Billy, so sometimes she kind of, you know, can go for that kind of thing. But yeah, no jungle bird for Victoria. Of course, it goes without saying that she's not drinking many beers looking the way she does. Yeah. I mean, you can't. That's a good rule. You can't drink your calories. So she might have had one light beer, and that's all. Naomi says, Danny Romalotti tending the bar was great. If he's retiring from touring, could he possibly take a hobby job tending bar with Sienna at the Shadow Room? It would be a perfect fit for him. Yeah, definitely a better fit than felting. But Gary says Roger Howarth could do the bartending at the Shadow Room. I'm sure Y&R has thought of that. Oh yeah, maybe. You know, Matt mentioned that Sienna doesn't even look him in the eye right now, but you never know. He could work his way back into friendship with Sienna and Noah and start tending bar. He would be a perfect bartender. I actually feel like Matt and Sienna would make a good pair. I wouldn't mind seeing them both behind the bar, and they would have probably a pretty good back and forth. So, what about Matt and Sienna now that he's not that person anymore? Well, last week I asked you guys, the Shadow Room, thumbs up or thumbs down? 65% of you give the place a thumbs down. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I voted thumbs down. It's just too dark for me. But I'm gonna get used to it. It's here to stay. I'm not a fan of bar sets either. Yeah, but I have to say, Tina Cole makes a good point, saying, I voted thumbs down. It's not going to bother me too much to see the set, but I want to see the rooftop bar with the pool, so much more. I would have loved that for summer. When is Y&R going to get that message? That rooftop bar set was gorgeous, and it wasn't around long enough. I mean, it was beautiful during the day, beautiful at night. Ugh. The rooftop bar, the dive bar. They've probably still got all that stuff. They didn't need a dingy, dark nightclub. They could have popped that back up, and I would have been like, oh, summer. There's no, remember in the summer, Y&R used to have pools. The dive bar does not have a pool, but it gives pool illusion, and that is good enough for me in 2026. Marianne V gave it a thumbs up, saying the shadow room looks just as good as the one in LA, and now I don't have to go to LA anymore. That is very practical. That's a very practical answer. No more traveling. Wow, I've got some fashion notes for Connie. These are fun. Connie says, shadow room grand opening night of fashion review. Sienna opened with a gorgeous sequined tuxedo jacket, perfect for bartending. Sharon had the bedazzled yellow peekaboo shoulder blouse that looked like she was in the cast of Grease when she was standing up, and a Greek goddess when she was sitting down. Back at the club, Lily and Stephanie busted out of the shadows with the low-cut portion of the show. Lily in a sexy brown dress with the deepest cowl neckline I have ever seen. Stephanie rocked her blue jazz singer dress with a dazzling necklace and accentuated a plunging neckline. Next, Audra and Sally were Buffy and Elvira twins and brought the gothic vibe. Claire in her high boots and short dress looked like Goldie Hawn in her go-go dancer days. Victoria was the showstopper finale. She worked those sparkly shoulder and hip cutouts like a runway queen. By a quick glance of both, then a clever hip cover-up with her purse, uncovering the hip as she turned to end the show. Shadow Room Foyer carpet event was an eclectic success, extremely entertaining and fun. Oh my gosh, Connie, the Claire Goldie Hawn connection? Wow, that really, she does look like Goldie Hawn. Also, I mean, I had a hard time keeping my eyes on anything other than Lily's boobs. I am not gonna lie, her boobs were, I was like, wow, those are some boobs. I mean, they were so there. They were just so there. I mean, no wonder Kane had those big sparkly blue puppy dog eyes. I mean, she knew exactly what she was doing. It's so great. I love it. Oh, Sue W says, yes, please, to getting Sharon back to looking hot. She is so gorgeous, despite her character having recently been turned Spaceballs loony. And she's always been her alluring self in something more than nondescript pants and oversized loungewear. Like, would she actually own that stuff? Yes, I totally agree. Sharon's styling has been off for years. I don't know. The other thing I really don't like, though, is when they put her hair up in that, like, half pony. It just is not right for her. Sometimes her hair is so weird. Her styling is so weird. She is classic. She is like, she's the second lady of the show. And she doesn't dress very glamorous at all. I mean, I do love that Sharon is a little bit more hippie chic. She's a little bit more hippie chick. But it needs to be elevated. It was like seeing her dressed up at all was like, wow, an event. She pulls it off. Eric Eric says, now that Newman is back in the right hands and that Victor has thrown Phyllis a bone, Arabesque, more problems take center. Nikki's brain. She needs to get her head in and get it checked first medically for the head throb and then psychologically for the fact that she dogs Victor when she has a history of being an enabler. She helped exacerbate his underhandedness in the past and now stepped away. She can't change him. She needs to keep on one path or the other with him. Her confronting him is like salt in the wounds of both over and over. She needs to compartmentalize Victor and heal her brain and Nick, or it will explode. You know, as I'm reading this, Eric, I am realizing, what if Nate's return to medicine is coinciding with Nikki's headaches, and that's going to be what brings him back? Like, what if Victor goes to Nate and tries to get him to consult? That's what it is. That's why Nate's thinking about a medical career, because Nikki's going to need private care. Lucky her. Well, Victoria says, where, oh, where is Diane? And that missing voicemail to Jack, will we find out next week? Right? Right? I mean, is it me? You heard it too, right? You heard that Diane left Jack a voicemail basically saying she wanted to reunite too. You heard it, right? It wasn't just me. That's not like a phantom of my imagination. Russell says it was jarring to see Diane with Jack at the fundraiser, and they were completely cordial with each other. Yes, they were in public together, but Diane displayed absolutely no hint of a divide between her and Jack. The last we heard on Y&R, Diane was missing. Well, we know where she is now. And now she's missing again. I feel like something changed with the story. That's what I think. I think Y&R was intending to go one direction, and then they completely changed it. Because I just want to say, it wasn't just that they were there tolerating each other at the fundraiser. They were happy. She was on his arm. He was introducing her like they were, you know, a happy couple. Like they were happy as newlyweds. So something about that's off, and it's kind of a shame because everything else was lined up. Although I will say maybe there's a possibility that the preview we saw on Friday is something that will happen like next Friday, and Y&R still has a whole week left to fill in that gap. I don't know. Here's the big question, and it comes from Gary. Gary says, is everybody addicted to the gates now? That is the question, right? I think that Y&R did the crossover. It reminds me of back in the day when Y&R would do primetime episodes. They would put Y&R on in prime time to try to draw in viewers to watch it during the day. And this really felt like they were making a full story, a full production, not just one or two characters, but like 6 characters going to this other show, putting the Beyond the Gates story wrapped around Y&R stories, and hoping that people would jump over and get addicted and start watching. So I guess that's a great question. Is there anyone who watched the Beyond the Gates crossover and now is kind of like, I want to watch this show? I bet there are. I have to say, for the watching that I did, and I'll be honest, I was scrubbing looking for Y&R people. But so I didn't sit down and watch from beginning to end all 4 episodes. I will admit that. But from what I did see, I think Beyond the Gates looks visually gorgeous. They have the set looked really good. The filming looked really good. It seems like they have a very wide variety of character types, personality types. And I would say probably the thing that was most appealing to me was Bill. That's a lot of man right there. He's what my grandmother would have called a hunk. Just kidding. But he did melt my butter. I don't know anything about the character, but he did melt my butter. But I'm in the unique position of having so much. I'm so invested in Y&R, and it takes up so much space in my week that I don't think I have any room on my soap dance card for other soaps. But I'm sure there are people who will cross over now and stay fans, because I do think, I think it seemed like a show that would really be worth watching. It felt new, but it also seems to know exactly what it is. Like, it's nostalgic in the way that it feels like a soap opera. It's not just a new TV show that comes on. It knows it's a soap opera, and I think it carries. The characters are interesting. Everything about it looks interesting, and it was drama. It was good. I felt the feeling of the drama. As a matter of fact, the tornado, I was watching the tornado episodes at the same time that there were tornado warnings where I was. I mean, literally, I'm watching the tornado, and then there's like tornado warnings going off, and the wind is really high in my house, and it was giving me a little bit of anxiety, not gonna lie. I went outside the next day, and there's trees, just like tree branches, split trees everywhere, crazy. But none fell on anyone that I know of. Connie says, Jack's Beyond the Gate appearance had social media chatting about our beloved Peter Bergman and his start on AMC, and that had me reminiscing. He was the young, hot Cliff Warner and half of the legendary Cliff and Nina love story. All My Children was known as All My Kids on my college campus, and still called that by me to this day. I love the soap so much, I scheduled classes to be home for lunch when it aired, and I distinctly remember being pregnant, sitting on the floor, assembling baby furniture while I watched it. The young hot Cliff Warner led me to watch Jack Abbott on Y&R. We've grown old together, and he's still just as handsome, far more distinguished, and my favorite soap guy. You were putting together baby furniture while watching Y&R. That's the thing. I'm just gonna get me sentimental or whatever, but it's like, I feel like I can track my life like through Y&R. Like, I remember where I was when certain storylines were airing, and that's essentially what you're saying too, Connie. It's like, I remember that because this was happening in my life. And then, okay, zoom out of that and then realize that while that's going on for you, there's somebody else in, another city, in a totally different life situation, and they're watching the same thing, having a totally unique individual life experience while watching the same thing, and then multiply that by 100, and then 1,000, and then 1,000,000, and then it's like, whoa, we're all connected. Oh, that was unusually deep. I'll end with something a little more frivolous. Russell says, the permanent misspelling of caramelized as caramelized on the Chancellor Cafe menu chalkboard might just drive me over the edge. I saw the chalkboard, but I did not notice the misspelling. Because I was wanting to watch the scene, and my eyes kept flashing over to the menu board, and I saw that there was like a caramelized onion something there, but I didn't fully look at it enough to notice the misspelling. But thanks, now I'll never be able to unsee it. I have gone full deep. I think that's a good place to end, don't you? Butterfly wings of soap opera fans. But that really is how I see it. And I just think maybe it's because I talk about soaps constantly, and I talk to a lot of soap fans constantly. And it's the connecting thread. It's the thing I realize, that we all are living our lives watching this exact same thing. And yeah, I don't know. It makes us more connected, I think, than we realize. Oh boy. Well, if you like my sensibility, if you're kind of into it, You should definitely check out those retro recaps. That's more, more storytelling, more going back in time and thinking about where we were when that story was taking place, especially the Nikki and Victor one, because you're going to remember where you were when that wedding aired. All three of them, actually four. Pop quiz. How many times have Victor and Nikki been married? The answer to that is in the retro recap. It's a good one. And if you like that storytelling, then you better believe you would love the Fauna and the Flora, because the amount of energy and time and care that's put into those recaps, just imagine the amount of time and energy and care that I put into my story. It's got it all. It's got a gala. It's got romance. It's got intrigue. It's got a doppelganger. It's a really compelling story. It's very old school soap. When it took time to really build there, when you got to know your characters, and so those payoffs really land. And I believe when you get to the end of the Fauna and the Flora, you will have that. That's what I was working toward, for you to get to the end and be like, wow. It doesn't trail off. It more leaves you on the cliff hanging. As a good soap is supposed to do. So the Fauna and the Flora, you can find that at restlessforest.com. You can find everything Y&R at yrchat.com. I pulled screen caps from the crossover this week. A lot of them were really dark. It was hard because the power had gone out, and so the screen itself was very dark. It was in the dark. So a lot of photos, I got more photos of before the lights went out and less after, but they're still worth looking at. That Newman Enterprises helicopter is pretty good. And seeing Victor at a podium giving a speech is also pretty good. So those are going to be right there on the front page at yrchat.com, along with all the other photos of the week, the quote, the poll, and most importantly, the daily discussion that happens there. That is like the reason to go. As you're watching the show and you hit that thing where you're like, I got to tell somebody that, Y&R chat is where you go. I hope everybody has a really good week, and I will see you next Sunday. I love you. Bye.